Coming up on this special episode of the KickCast, I'm at Nerdtacular 2013. I interview some people who've gone through the whole entire crowdfunding process and get some insight from them. So sit back and relax. It's time for the KickCast. Hey everybody, how are you doing? This is Ktdata, and I am fresh back from Nerdtacular 2013. And what an awesome event that was. And one of the things that I got to do at Nerdtacular 2013 was stop and talk to some of the people who've, run their own crowdfunding projects. And if I remember right, all three of these people that we have been featured on the KickCast previously. So let's just go in and dive in and see what their experiences were with crowdfunding projects. All right, guys, here is with one of my internet heroes, Tom Merritt, right here.
Oh, thanks.
I swear you do everything on the internet, and I consume all of it. But here on the KickCast, the one thing that I wanted to talk to you about was your experiences with running not one, but two crowdfunding projects at the same time. So the first question is, why did you kind of want to pick crowdfunding as your first place to go?
Well, there's two different projects. One, 10 State, was actually run by Len Peralta, and I helped him with it. But that was for a comic book, and it was pretty typical, like, we want to make this comic book, but Len needs to have time paid for. So we were...
Podcasting table.
Do you want me to wait for that?
Oh, they did. Okay. Gnome-wise, you have to sign a form to remove a microphone.
So we were like, Len was like, I need my time paid for to draw it.
Yep.
And so we decided to Kickstarter and see how much we could get. And very wisely, I think we said, well, we'll do 3 issues at one level and then stretch goals for more issues. Hopefully, we'll be able to sell enough of the issues in the general public outside of the Kickstarter that Kickstarter will work the way it's supposed to, as in kickstarting us into not having to do Kickstarter again, but we can actually just sell comic books. The other one, FSL Tonight, and Autopilot, which I did with Scott Johnson, are both very purely like, we want to do this project. The only way we can do it is if we make this amount of money. So if you give us that money, we'll make the project. If we don't make that money, we won't make the project.
When you had both launching, did you have just both of them just sitting there waiting for the page to refresh and see if people are coming in, or were you more like, we'll just let it run its course?
The first couple of days I was looking at it a couple times a day, and then I would look at it once a day, and it was funny. With 10 State, we had a whole stretch goal plan set up, so it was sort of like, oh, we got to that goal. Let's see if we can get to, what do we need to do to get to this next goal? And we did a lot of Twitter posts and Facebook postings to try to drive that, and it worked. With FSL Tonight, both Justin and I were like, we made a stretch goal because that's what you're supposed to do, but we were pretty happy just getting season 1. And so once we met our goal, which was like 9 days in, we just kind of let off. We're like, let's not bug people. Let's not overdo it. If we meet the stretch goal, great. We'll do a second season. But and we didn't. But it ended up working out great, and people are really enjoying it. And it's nice to be able to do that season without having to worry about funding.
That's always good. All right, two questions I have left on there is like, one, do you have any advice for anybody who's kind of considering starting their own crowdfunding project?
Yeah, find somebody who knows about it to hook up with and partner. That's what we did with FSL Tonight. A guy named David Michael has helped a lot of Scott Johnson's Kickstarter projects, and we brought him in as an advisor. And we actually paid him like twice what he asked fee-wise, but it was a very small fee for him to just say, like, here's where we think the levels are best at. This is how you add a gift in later on to help drive subscriptions or drive funding. So find somebody, or at least do a lot of research that you can figure out how the best practices have been developed by the people who have done Kickstarter before.
Okay. All right, so the final question I have is, like, lately we've kind of seen more negative sides on crowdfunding with they had this Kobe beef project out there that was raising a ton of money and barely got cut off, and then Kickstarter offering an apology last week about the project that they let through on there. But I remember you mentioning on Tech News Today saying that we shouldn't be going to these crowdfunding projects expecting to get something out of it, and but you're really just trying to help these guys get an idea off the ground and help it go. Do you see, like, how do you explain that to people without them kind of thinking that, these crowdfunding sites are to get tangible items out?
Yeah, and I think it is as much the burden of the person seeking funding as the people doing the donations and the funding to say, this is not a store. We are not just selling Ouya's, or we are not just selling comic books. We'll give you a copy, or we'll give you a box, because that makes sense if you're funding us that would do that. But really, double down on the message that what you're buying here is the chance for us to try this, and it may or may not work. With something like a podcast, like FSL Tonight, it's a go or no go thing, and that's the ideal, where it's like you're not really getting anything, maybe some posters or something, but you're going to get the season, and that's what you're really buying there. And so I think it's incumbent on the people who are doing the Kickstarter projects to say, yeah, you're going to get stuff, but remember, what you're doing it for is to help us do it. And if you don't want to help us do it, then maybe that's not the right Kickstarter. Of course, people never want to say that, but that's should be the idea there.
Okay. All right, Tom, again, thank you for taking some time. I know you're busy running around talking to people, so I appreciate you just taking a couple seconds to talk to us. Do you have anything you want to plug?
I might as well plug the two things that are results of Kickstarter. FSLTonight.com. Not for everybody, but if you're into science fiction and fantasy, geeky references, and delivered as if it were sports talk radio, if that sounds interesting to you, go check it out. And then definitely 10 State, our comic, is coming to Comixology if you didn't back the Kickstarter, and it's a comic book about some people who are put on a reality show and locked in a biodome, with the idea of trying to get along together, and then something goes wrong outside and they lose contact with the outside world.
Yeah, I definitely recommend 10 State. I backed it and I got the 2 first copies. I'm like,
how were they?
I need more. I need more.
Okay,
now.
good. That's what I want to hear.
I love it.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
All right, guys. More interviews once I can drag everybody down. So after this, see ya. All right, guys. Here we are with Bild Duran. You guys might have remembered in a previous episode of the KickCast, we featured his space prop gun project. So, Bill, how are you doing today?
I'm a happy man, I'll tell you that much.
I know, because you just barely finished, right?
Yep, we just finished Tuesday last week, and we were funded, so hooray!
So my question is, did you do a jig right after it funded?
I don't know. It's all kind of a blur. I blacked out a little bit.
So, yeah. So, what was your kind of reasoning behind picking Kickstarter to use as your platform for your project?
From most of the stuff I can tell, Kickstarter, it seems like responds very well to things that are products, where people go there to see a new thing, and one of the rewards is always the product. So people go to it because they want the thing, and also the Kickstarter name is pretty ubiquitous now. So for selling that idea to people and getting it to as many people as possible, it seemed like that was the best option.
So, yeah, that sounds a great idea. So one thing that people kind of have a question is, how do you figure out your different tiers for everything? So what kind of process did you have to go to try and figure out what kind of tier you want to pick?
Well, I talked to I had a lot of friends who have done crowdfunding campaigns, both on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and to get sort of an idea of what they did. But it's not too different from what I do with my business, which is to make sure I have something for every price range, including the ultra high level and the ultra low level, which worked out really well because the lowest level was $5 and like 250 people came in there.
Yeah. That's so do you have any advice for people who are kind of thinking of starting their own crowdfunding project out there?
Sure. The sort of basic advice being make sure you have something for everyone. And when you're selling the idea, especially with your video, you want to sell how this thing helps everyone. Because the people on the internet respond to, if this is a thing that just benefits me, then people are less responsive to that. But if you're able to sell the idea that if this project is successful, everyone benefits from it, people get into that and they appreciate that. So with my project, I really enjoy the idea of the collaborative nature of it, where I sort of give people the option to have a platform to take that and just run with it. And people responded to that, and people liked my design, so that was really cool.
Yeah. I love it. I love how you mentioned the video too, because I looked through. You don't really know how many projects I look through projects to prepare for the show, and like the one thing that kills me is the video. Sometimes people don't. It seems like they don't put an effort into that, and they just give you this wall of text after where you're like, I'm gonna glaze over this.
With the video, you're selling yourself. That's really what it is. And another thing I've learned about running my business too, my prop making business, is that it's mostly me selling me.
Yeah.
And that's what people respond to.
Yeah, that's what I loved about your video when I saw him. Like, that is the Bill that we all know and love right there. And, you're honestly like saying, hey, I need some help to get this going. So,
sure, I sure did.
On there. So what are your kind of plans right now since you've just barely finished on there?
Right now, I have to let's come up with a game plan. I already had a pretty good idea what I was going to do, but I have a bunch of commission stuff that I have to finish up for the next couple of months. And during that time, I'm going to get some new tools for my shop so that I can rebuild the prototype I made for my space gun. I've got to make a newer, like super clean prototype for it, the sort of production version of it. I need to make new molds for all of that so that I can produce them, a lot of them, because I have to make like 130 of them or something.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, and I love how you always keep posting updates for people, like every step along right there. Like, did you have this conversation that you wanted to actively do that, or was that just something naturally that came to you?
No, I had friends that I talked to, and they said every couple of days update people, because once you have backers, you can send out an update, and they all get that in their email. And then the people who are your backers are your marketing committee. And you say, all right, guys, we're almost there. You guys are invested. Now get your friends into it. And I had a friend who specifically told me, like, you gotta do that. I've seen other campaigns, both successful and not successful, that have like 3 updates. I'm like, guys, what are you doing? Like actually, when you talk about that, the thing I didn't realize so much going into it is how much work you do during the campaign, and that's part of it.
How many nights did you go sleepless wondering, like, did I get any more backers?
Fortunately, I work a lot, and I'm extremely tired at the end of every day. So exhaustion wins mostly. But there was one day where I actually went negative, like just because people drop out or whatever. And most of it was a pretty steady incline but one day it went down. And that was a dark day. I was like, no, now it's gonna fail. But it rebounded really fast.
That's good. That's good. All right, Bill, I just want to say thank you for taking some time and just talking to us, especially about your experiences.
Yeah.
That's some things that I don't think people really hear a lot about is people's experiences going through these projects and realizing that, those 30 days right there are crazy.
It's like having a second job, I'll tell you that much. Right. Well, thank you for having me on, and thanks for featuring my Kickstarter.
Yeah, no problem. Like, I loved it. That's when I saw him, like, that is going on the show. No questions asked right there. Do you got anything you want people to check out at home?
Sure. It's just twitter.com/chinbeard, and I'm super active there. Facebook.com/punishedprops, which is my prop making company, and I am, again, super active there, posting build updates on whatever projects I'm working on. And then punishedprops.com for all of the rest of my stuff.
All right, sweet. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, guys. I am here with Andrew Allen. You may have remembered a project that we featured back a couple months ago for free play, and that was actually your second project on Kickstarter, so you're pretty much almost a veteran when it comes to Kickstarter projects. Tell everybody at home, what was your first reason that you wanted to actually go the Kickstarter route instead of trying to go the more traditional route where you sign with a label and whatnot?
Well, I actually signed with Brian Ibit from Coverville. He has a small record label in Arvada, Colorado, and we decided after a few months of me sending him songs and saying, "Hey, check this out! Please check this out." He signed me, and we decided that Kickstarter was going to be the best medium to push the album. Right. So when actually, that was in Kickstarter's infancy, I think. Or
that was when it was just barely picking up steam, because that was even before the Pebble Watch.
Yep.
Full disclaimer, I've backed both of your projects, and I actually remember Free Play was number 2, and that was only because Nerdtacular barely beat it by like a month on there. So.
Smooth Federation.
Smooth Federation.
No, I'm joking.
You can tell it's starting to get late when I'm like, can't keep track of everything now.
No, man. You know what? We watched Scott do his, and that was our experiment, because our idea to do a Kickstarter was way before his.
Yeah.
But he was able to do it first. And he didn't know what was going to go on, and we didn't know what was going to happen. So we were going to use his first and see and test the water. And he had a blowout success. And the thing is that Scott Johnson will always have a blowout success. Yeah. For us, it might not be as much of a blowout, but hopefully we can advertise enough with it. So we figured that it was going to be the best way to reach people who didn't know who I was, because at that time I was virtually unknown and not a whole lot of people knew me.
Yeah, because I remember when they actually played your first song on TMS, I'm like, oh my God, I need to find more of this guy. And I like searched high and low. I'm like, where's more of his stuff? I want more of this.
And I was so green. I was right out of college, and I was just starting to coming to my own for jazz. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great thing. And so Tom actually mentioned this when I talked to him. He actually said that one helpful thing with Kickstarter is finding somebody who's kind of had some experience. So would you say, like, even though Scott's was maybe a month ahead of yours, how much did that actually help you kind of formulate the plan for the Kickstarter?
Oh gosh,
project?
We actually just jumped right in for ours. We didn't really use we didn't have anyone that had any experience except for Scott's. That was a month before. I'd say now doing the second Kickstarter, the experience that we learned, we're now able to give to everyone else, right? But no, I'd say that sometimes you just got to go with it. Now knowing what I know, you got to put something on Kickstarter that has great video quality, great audio quality, has great pictures to put in the description. Mm-hmm. But then also you have to be able to have something that's intriguing to that audience. And for Kickstarter, it's not a mainstream crowd, really. Like Melissa Joan Hart just tried to do a $2 million movie and she failed.
Yeah, she didn't even get close.
50,000, I think it was, and that was like a A-list celebrity 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Yeah. So I mean, it's you have to know your market, know your audience. So first you got to be able to do the business of your project, but then you also got to be the marketer for it.
Yeah, like
So.
that's what I tell a lot of people. People kind of have this stigma where it's Kickstarter. I'm like, oh, so if I just stick a project on there, I'm gonna make $1 gazillion off there. And I tell them, no, I almost can guarantee you for the duration of your project, you're not going to be sleeping that much because you're going to be thinking about it constantly, and you're essentially, instead of trying to, say in the VC world where you're trying to just convince a couple investors, you're pretty much trying to convince over 1 million investors right now that visit the site. So kind of on that sense, people have said that having a good base at the beginning is really helpful for your Kickstarter project. Do you kind of agree with that? And
oh yeah, Ibit brought the heat, man. Ibit and Scott Johnson, they brought the fans because I was unknown. I might have been able to fund 1,000 or a couple thousand on my own over 30 days. But having the fans already from TMS and Coverville, that's what really brought us in the funding that we needed.
Yeah, and like I said, that's how I discovered you. So I'm glad that they did it because you're one of my Insta backs, as I call them. Honestly, there's actually only 2 people on there. It's you and Scott Johnson.
Oh man,
right there.
Well, thank you.
So on there, do you have any kind of advice for people at home or thinking of starting their own crowdfunding project like this?
What I would think about is make your project intriguing and know your market, know your audience, and know your price point, okay? Because when we were first thinking about price points for the first record, I had this insane number in my head, and I was like, well, there's millions of people who go to Kickstarter, so we should put our thing at like 30,000 or 50,000, which would have been a huge mistake. Yeah. Right, so if you want to be successful and be funded, I'd say go low, right? So if you're unknown, you don't have a whole lot of support going into the Kickstarter, put your level at 1,000, 2,000, just to ensure that you have enough to do the bare bones project that you want to do. And if you overfund 500% or 1,000% or however much, then that's just icing on the cake.
Yeah. So pretty much under promise and over deliver if you can, in kind of sense on that.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a great thing. And another thing that I've discovered, like, how do you? One of the things that I see a lot of projects do, even successful ones, is they don't keep people updated on what's going on. But I loved your videos where you're kind of just like behind the scenes showing kind of the blind process on that. It's like, how'd you like doing that, kind of letting your backers get a little peek inside on your process? It was something foreign to you.
It was fantastic. And it was great to show them that how I write the music, and it keeps them interested. So I think that sometimes Kickstarter backers, they'll back something and then just forget about it, and then one day they'll just get a CD in the mail.
I've done that a couple times,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, so because also we're using Kickstarter as a marketing tool. So it's not just, hey, fund me. It's, hey, fund me and follow me on Twitter, and I hope you like my music. And we're trying to generate. Ooh, it's late. We're trying to generate a following for me, and you can easily do that on Kickstarter.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. So if you had, is there anything you would change in any of your previous projects on there, or, do you think that was the best that you actually could do at the time?
I think for Smooth Federation, that was the best, and especially because we didn't know. Mm-hmm. For Free Play, I think we did pretty darn well. I mean, you can always market more. You can always, you can pay people to say how great your project is on a few podcasts. Yeah. But the true Kickstarter way is to just have a good project, and people will back it.
That's awesome. All right, Andrew. Do you have it? I just want to say thanks for taking time, because you've been busy,
you, man.
and seeing you live. Oh my God, that is amazing. Seriously,
Thank you.
There is a look on your face when you're up there playing on the keys, and I can tell that you are totally in love with your craft and you totally believe in it, and that is your life and soul right there, and that is just something that it's hard to capture even on camera. Like, you'd have to see it live. So if you guys ever have a chance to see Andrew play live, do it, because you will see a man that is just loving what he does, and that's
Thank you so much, man.
That's almost the whole point of crowdfunding right there. Is being able to do something you love out there.
And I wouldn't be where I am now without Kickstarter. I wouldn't be.
Do you have anything to plug right now for people at home?
Well, if you go to coverville.com and go to their jump seller, you can find all the CDs, all the Smooth Federation stuff, all of the Free Play stuff. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @KeysWithSoul, and that's pretty much it.
All right, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Andrew.
All
and
right.
I appreciate it, and I can't wait for our next project.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that's it for all our interviews that we got at Nerdtacular 2013. Again, I want to give a big thanks to Tom Merritt, Chinbeard, Bild Duran, and Andrew Allen for taking some time to talk to me at Nerdtacular. I know they're all busy running around doing their kind of things, and I really appreciate them taking some time just to talk to me about their whole crowdfunding experience and stuff. I had a blast at Nerdtacular. I hope all of them did too. And I hope you guys enjoyed this special episode of the KickCast, where it's a little bit different. We didn't really feature any projects, but I hope gives you guys a kind of a different look on crowdfunding projects, being able to see the project creators instead of just looking at the projects as somebody who's looking to back. So hopefully that will give you guys some insights for all you guys at home who are kind of thinking of starting your own crowdfunding project and stuff. If you like episodes like this, please let me know if you want to see more. Just send an email to kickcast@ktdata.net, or leave it on any of our social networks, such as facebook.com/kickcast, @kickcast on Twitter, or on Google Plus at plus.kickcast.net. So this was kind of a pre-recorded episode, but we do episodes live every Tuesday. So I hope you guys come next Tuesday for us. We'll be recording live on July 23rd, 2013, and you can find that at live.kickcast.net. Other than that, guys, again, thank you for everybody who's watching at home. Hope you guys like this episode, and we will see you next week. Bye.